So Scott Davis is here, and he's our principal architect for this plan. Many of you were here for the initial presentation. It's been, I don't know, probably 6 months ago. And Scott took a lot of comments from residents and team members. We put it all together, and we have a final product. I hope most of you will be pleased because we did incorporate many suggestions. We couldn't do everything, I'm sure you understand. And we had various suggestions that differed from each other as we anticipated. But I do think the overall plan, taking all your comments, we have a good product that I hope you'll be pleased with. So Scott. Okay. So you're not using this?
No, I'm going to use this one.
Okay.
Great. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to be here. I think this is my third town hall at this wonderful campus, and it's always a great time to just learn from you guys and share with you all of what both us, the executive team, the admin team, and operations have been working on over the year. So today we're going to go through kind of where we are on the master plan for Goodwin House Alexandria. Quick introduction, my name is Scott Davis. You've probably seen me here before. I was part of all the resident focus groups and several of the resident meetings and then all of the town halls since. So I've kind of traveled throughout the project and I know this campus really well. So if you have any questions or want to talk more about it, I'm here to hear and my ears are open. So where we are in the process, we went through a 5-step process on this master plan. We went through a discovery phase earlier where we evaluated all of the spaces, we measured them, we understood the uses of each space. We also, at that time, went through and looked at all the previous plans and how the plans had changed and what had happened over the years. In the collaborate phase is when we really started to listen to all of the staff. We took tours with individual staff members of each department. We reviewed the spaces. We saw how residents used each space. We also, at that point, did the resident focus groups. We had 4 different focus groups with 12 to 15 residents, and we went through lots of their thoughts and feelings, the things that they liked, the things that resonated really well with them in the community, and also the things that maybe they struggled with or had challenges with in their day-to-day life when they were going through activities. We took that together and we created a set of, with residents and with staff, a set of project goals. And I'll put those up on the screen in a minute. And what those really did was then set the tone for how we would think about any renovations that we would be pursuing. And how that no matter what we did during the process, we would track back to those project goals and we would make sure that they aligned and that they stayed on track. So 2 sets of project goals were created. One is this is what we really felt was important that already existed. These were things that no matter what we did in any of the work we do or any of the modifications we do, that we didn't modify or change these, that these are very important to what makes your community great. A sense of welcoming, a welcoming feeling, spaces that are right size, not grandiose, not super small, but that really fit the population and the needs of the residents. The sense of community was incredibly strong here. The sense of how you guys built a sense of wonderful relationships is really great and amazing. And I think that's, no matter what we do, we want to build upon that. We see so many communities with a sense of isolation among residents, and I think the feeling of community here is very strong and vibrant, and we want to make sure we capitalize on that. Visual connections are really important, again, in terms of avoiding isolation, being able to see activities and events, catch up with friends, see things that are going on, and you'll start to see elements of that throughout the plans. The spaces are open and welcoming and provide that level of social connection. Bright and airy, there's lots of windows and daylit spaces. We'll continue to invest in that and make sure that that's a priority. And then the value of staff. We couldn't believe how much you guys love the staff here and how well of a job they must do, because the focus groups really spent about 50% of the time talking about the staff and how amazing they are and how the relationships that the residents have built with staff is so important. So you'll see some elements here of trying to provide a little more space for that staff that are such a vital part of what makes Goodwin House Alexandria. The things that became kind of unique project goals specific for this master plan for renovations, though, really wanted to begin to be built on 3 different major pathways. One is making sure that we're really meeting the changing needs of you, the residents. Obviously, some of the spaces here have been renovated 7, 8, 10, 15 years ago and may not meet some of the current needs, particularly in technology, also maybe in acoustics. And so we're really going to be able to look at those spaces beginning to do that. The other thing is improving operations. There's elements that have been modified and changed over time, and operations has some hiccups and some points, particularly things like behind the kitchen walls and things like that, that could really be benefited from being a little bit of modifications to create more seamless and improved operations. And then the last goal was really trying to maintain Goodwin House Alexandria as a marketable community so that 10 years from now, you're still fully occupied. You're still just as vibrant. You still have just as wonderful sense of community that you have today. So those specific kind of captions really led to these goals. Giving an updated sense of interior design throughout the project. That's finishes, furniture, art, and signage. Activating the lobby. So creating elements of visible activity in there, create that as really a social hub. Expanding fitness spaces. Creating destination dining. I'll say that means more choices in dining. So you as a resident have more opportunities on where you want to dine and how you want to dine within the space that exists. Creating a rooftop amenity. So was there an opportunity in the plan to create a space that you could became a new resident amenity within that rooftop? It's obviously a valued rooftop. We know how important 4th of July and other events that you have out there, but is there a way to thoughtfully add a space up there that doesn't take away from the space you already love? We needed to add exterior access for the small houses, floors 2, 3, 4, and 5. They don't have an outdoor balcony or terrace, so that was something the plan looked at. It was really meaningful for that population. So those residents can be able to get outside but still be part of that safe kind of neighborhood environment that they have there. Improving staff spaces, what I talked about before, looking at where they dine, where they lounge, is there an area of rest or respite for them? And then the last one was expanding, if possible, the art center, knowing how important that program is for the residents and really the culture here at GHA. So again, these goals were developed by the community, by residents that were part of the focus groups and as part of workshop sessions to develop the goals, as well as the staff. And so this isn't my set of goals. This was a really wonderful set of goals that was generated here by you, the community. So from this, I'll begin to show you the concept plans, and these are the plans that show modifications of walls and rooms and spaces. When I go to each plan, though, I'll be able to highlight which of these goals or what were the drivers in that space, because I think that's really critical to make sure that we constantly were reevaluating back to the project goals. So one thing I will say, all of these are really just looking at program spaces, where walls and rooms and doors and spaces will change or shift. And you will see some furniture plans on the floor plan. These are not the final furniture. This is just a sense of scale and space, so we understand how much space is available, how that space could be used. But going through a detailed design process post this master plan, when we get into actual design, we'll go through some detailed furniture plans. We'll have some sample models of what some of the furniture could look and feel like available during that process for residents to review, and there'll be a detailed process to select the furniture then. But if you do see furniture, is sort of set for scale. But other things that will happen in all of these spaces that aren't going to be highlighted or mentioned directly is improving the acoustic environment. We know that as designers, we care very deeply about acoustics. We know that national averages lead us to say that over 50 to 60% of you have some level of low-level hearing loss. And so we know that's incredibly prevalent and the majority. And so we want to make sure that that is thoughtfully designed into every space we look at. Obviously, taking care of acoustic materials that lower reverb adds intelligibility of sound, of speech, but also, like I talked about earlier, more lines of sight and visual connections, wider circulation paths that you can carry a conversation side by side instead of front to back, conversation nodes that are not directly in circulation paths but are off to the side so you can have that informal conversation more easily, lightweight furniture that can be more closely configured to be closer to each other if needed. All of those things continue to build and continue to be part of this so that they continue to build a stronger sense of community. We're also going to include technology upgrades that are specific to the uses and spaces. There's technology for dining and for fitness, for AV, for meetings and classrooms. All of that will be improved as the spaces are renovated. And then the last one is there are solutions needed for some accessibility challenges through doorways or over some slopes, but also some infrastructure, some mechanical and electrical equipment that need to be replaced and renovated when the spaces are also renovated. So all of those things are part of the plans that you'll see today. So this is really small on the screen, and we're going to blow up all these areas in a much larger scale. But this is the first floor of Goodwin House Alexandria, and I know not everyone loves reading plans, but just for your reference, this is Small House. You can see the smaller building here, and I know there's two screens, so I don't know that my pointer works, so I don't mind walking over. I'll be like Vanna White here, but the Small House. This is the main lobby with the vestibules that both kind of drop off circles. You can see there's the majority of the original building and new tower here, just to kind of give you a point of reference. This is the renovation plan, and it's very small scale, so I won't highlight too many things on this floor, but at this scale. But what I will say, the project goals that we looked at really tackling in this first floor are updating the interiors, the interior design kind of through the bulk of that main part of the campus, activating the lobby, expanding both fitness and art center, and then creating more choice, more sense of destination in the dining for residents. The areas that are sort of the very dark gray color that you see here are areas that are sort of out of the scope of work. Obviously, the independent living unit units that sit up kind of behind the medical center, but also right now at this point, kind of the main auditorium, the Small House, the memory care on the first floor, and then the units that are beyond in the town. So if I start in the lobby with the project goals that really are happening here is updating the interiors, activating the lobby, and beginning to create some sense of destination dining. What the group really decided was that it would be great to move the market from where the Fillmore is closer to the lobby to really be something that could then you could do some grab and go and really activate the lobby. You could grab a cup of coffee from the free coffee. You could grab a specialty drink. You could grab something from the market. I know the dining team's looking at operating that with maybe more grab and go, more quick service elements. So there's a way that you could grab that. That could be a carryout that you take back to your unit. It's a carryout that you could take out to maybe a nicer dining terrace at the south vestibule that we're looking at, into some seating in the lobby or beyond. It also then could seat in where the bistro is today. If you can kind of see the shape of the bistro today, that's the blue. And if I flip, the market sits basically where the library workroom is today. Now, we know the library workroom is highly important for the library. It's vital for their work. So I'll show you a location has been selected near the elevators on G1 level for the elevator workroom. So we didn't move that without being very thoughtful that had an important home. But you can see from the lobby, you'll see back into the dining space. You'll be able to see friends that are dining. You'll be able to pick something up and begin to interact with the lobby. The other thing we've done, shown on this, is the bistro was a little bit wider. You can see there's a small seating grouping, as you know, right here outside the chapel. But then you can see the bistro really juts out into the corridor. So what we have done is we've kind of shifted the wall of the bistro back and opened that space up. So the idea that there could be more soft seating there, that there could be more of a reading area. This is a space that would be great off the circulation path for having those informal conversations. The other thing it does that you can start to see is it begins to open up the space, so you'll be able to see all the way back to the bar and the other casual restaurant beyond. So again, having some of those view corridors so that you can see activity and you can see your friends and neighbors. Yes? Okay.
Tasting.
I'm finding it difficult to follow you around your plan. I don't know where the library is in this plan.
Yeah. So this is it's trimmed off the side. This is the chapel. This is the library.
Well, no wonder I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I go back to, so there's that wall of the edge of the bistro, the wider corridor, there's the library. So we're not changing any of the footprint of the library. Yeah. So what I just said was this is that edge of the bistro, this is that wider corridor, and this is the library, the existing library. We're not changing any of the footprint. We're not showing any changes to the footprint of the library.
What else was difficult to understand?
So here's sort of, I guess I could have just flipped one slide, I'm sorry. But so this is a little bit farther up in the plan. You can see this is the edge of the bistro currently as it exists today, kind of creating that corridor to the library wall. Beyond is the arbor room and the art center. So what this is showing kind of the modifications proposed. The chapel and the library are not changing shape at all. So those spaces stay as they are today. But you can begin to see beyond the bar, which is right now at the very back of the Fillmore, kind of tucked around, is being brought more forward as a wonderful social element. So when you make Barbara be the bartender of the night, you're going to all get to see her be there right in the heart of campus, right? And so there'll be a great opportunity. That's that staff and resident interaction opportunity. But that gets moved farther forward so that it's not completely recessed and unknown. And if 4 or 5 of your best friends are having a nice time at the bar, you'll see them and walk by and be able to take part. The other thing that you may have noticed is right now, the corridor from the independent living units makes it actually makes 4 90-degree turns as it goes around the fitness studio and out to kind of the main corridor. We looked at an opportunity of straightening that corridor so you can see the corridor as you come through the double doors past the restrooms could continue straight. And what that opened up is about 600 additional square foot of space for 2 programs that really need it, the art center and the fitness studio. And so there was 2 opportunities here to do that. We looked at a lot of different options here of how we do that in the best way. But what ends up happening, what we're showing is flipping basically the location of the art center.
Sorry, Scott, do you want to have residents hold their questions to the end, or would you like to have people raise their hand as we go?
Why don't I get through kind of a general description, and then I can always go back for questions for individual slides.
You good? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So what we're showing is the art center and the fitness center switching locations. What you probably do know is that the fitness center does not have as nice a windows as the art center, and that's important for artists to be able to sit there and work against the windows, and the light is really important. So we're not showing too many exterior modifications on the project, but this is one. We're suggesting that we put a wonderful glass wall in the place of where the fitness center has some smaller windows now. So that when we make that flip, we know that the bay windows are probably very loved for art, but it really works out from a footprint point of view to gain space for both of these needed programs to flip it. There's a way to make wonderful windows as well on the art center side. So the art center gains the most space. It gains about 400 square feet. It's only about 1,100 square feet now, so it's almost a 50% expansion to the art center. And while the corridor that wonderful art gallery that you have today moves, we're proposing moving that art gallery with it, so that not the actual pieces, but where the art gallery goes, so that you can see at the top there, those dashed lines are suggesting that wonderful corridor back to the independent living would still be lined with all that wonderful art. And man, that display you have right now is wonderful with the ceramics and the thread woven. I love that. So you can see that in the view here. Social work, as you know, is really right now on the other side of the corridor, kind of opposite the bathrooms. But what we're doing is we're keeping social work. What's missing from this that you might recognize is life enrichment offices, which really sit tucked around that corner behind on that L. And so one thing that's also something we've been really thoughtful about, and right now we're showing moving them down to the home offices on G1 into their own suite. So you'll see that as part of it. So what that does do, though, is on this first floor provide way more space for resident use. So you have over 200 to 300 square feet larger in the fitness center. You have almost 400 square feet larger in the art center, so almost a 50% addition. Other things that you're seeing, you're starting to see the Alexandria, which right now is your sit-down venue, is being kind of shifted back to where the Fillmore is. And I know the Fillmore does do sit-down now too. You're starting to utilize that more than you were a year ago or 18 months ago. But those two are sort of being combined, those sit-down combined. With the idea being that a new casual dining option, you know how great the bistro is, that you can get your meal quickly, that it's a great space for you and friends to be. The idea being that there's two types of venues like that. So we're showing a grill venue, and whether it's called the Grill or whether you keep the Alexandria name or whether you guys all come up with a much better name that you love that resonates for a local classic, that we're showing a grill location that directly connects to that bar. So at times, at dinner, maybe the seats of the bar could also be dinner seats, or there's flexibility there for them, for your campus to operate it at different levels. What the grill has is the grill is going to have a hotline that's visible. So you're going to walk in and see the food being prepared under a hood. The hood right now we're showing a hood that'll be against the wall, so you'll have a hotline, and then you'll also have a counter that you can sit at and eat. So there could be, if you want to sit and eat and watch the wonderful culinary team make your meal, there is some seats that allow that opportunity that don't exist today. You also have another 60 seats in here. So right now you have about 80 seats in the bistro. This is showing 80 seats in the bistro and 60 seats in the grill and 20 seats in the bar. So it's possible that in terms of a casual style food that comes out more quickly than the sit down, that you've now almost doubled the number of seats that have that capability. I think he's coming on your left.
Yeah, this is to help us understand what's going on.
Yep.
You've got two different colors of yellow there. And I think I understand what's happening with the art room. Then you've got two other yellow colors up there that you've talked about. They're darker yellow. and I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I'm not quite sure what's going on all those other places too. You sort of wave your hand over there, and you know exactly what all that stuff is.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I bet I'm not the only one in the audience. So if you could do something to clearly let us know which is which of the various things you're talking about, that would be a big help.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know that. So what this is showing, the green, as he said, the kind of the yellowy green, that's the art center. And within the art center, we're showing storage, the kiln, an office, and then the dashed lines against the window are that hopefully we've got a setup where you can set up an art station adjacent to the windows to paint or sculpt or look out at the wonderful landscaping. The two darker orange here, this is the fitness gym. This is the fitness studio. So your current fitness studio, this is roughly the same size within a foot of your current studio. So the same fitness studio that you have, it just shifting location. So that's your group fitness room with the two TVs that you have on the corridor. So the goal, the other elements we're showing, this is the library, the pink is the library and the chapel. Again, those are not changing shape in this regard. The blue here is the bistro with the market tucked into the front side of the bistro. This is the market. And then the purpley blue is the bar and the grill. So this would be a bar seating with tables. Bar. Okay. Bar seating with bar seating here with tables. Beyond, this is the hotline with sit counter. The idea that this is a host stand that then would take you into the grill. I can do that on this side as well. My mom did not give me enough height, but I can get close. The bar, okay. The bar. This is the hotline with the dining seating at the cook line. This is the host stand, and then this is the start of 60 seats in the grill.
I'm still confused between which one is the art room and which one is the gym.
So the art room is the green,
Green.
yellowy green.
That's yellow.
All right, of the two yellows, this is the art room. This is fitness.
Okay. And what's the fitness?
That's in the red.
No.
Fitness studio, fitness gym. Gym is where the equipment is. Studio is where you take group classes. And the corridor is gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the corridors moved. So this corridor down here, so see same color. Art center is yellow, fitness center is orange, right? If I continue back, we'll just continue back and we'll kind of keep showing some of those same elements. So here's the dogleg corridor that you have currently, the current fitness studio, the Alexandria with the private dining room, the medical clinic. Okay, I'll come over there too. And then the blue in the back is the market with the Fillmore room that wraps around behind it with the bar in the very end. That's fine. Thank you, Barbara. So what this is now showing is kind of what I spoke to earlier, moving the sit down of the Alexandria room back to the Fillmore area. Now it doesn't have the market anymore, so it'll be a much wider, open, nicer area that all takes advantage of the wonderful windows, the space that you can look out. It's such a great space. And I know you guys enjoy it today very much. So making that the sit-down dining restaurant. Now, one thing that exists that the kitchen really struggles with today is that there's a long distance between the prep line and that space. So that's an operational issue for them. So one thing we're showing is that they could provide an additional prep line in the kitchen. So right here, it's right above my hand, but right here. I like it. I like it. So an additional prep line that opens directly to the Fillmore, so that it could be better served. So your meals will come out at the time that you expect them to, and they can provide a larger menu than they're able to today. So both of those things really help the kitchen service. So we're taking advantage of kind of a really nice room. So instead of the fake windows you have at the back of the Alexandria to look out today, you can now look out the Fillmore windows out to the landscape. Now we are showing some minor landscape work there. It's in the green. We'd love to take the brick wall down and replace that with wonderful lush landscaping that sits adjacent to that dining patio. So we're showing that, but really keeping that dining patio roughly the size that it is today. This shows that in the grill, we are showing keeping a private dining room. So the private dining room that exists in the Alexandria can exist in the grill. And so that could be outfitted with screens and also be used as a meeting space. Yeah.
He gave you that stick to use as a pointer.
I know. So we did want to highlight, though, carry out is important, because even if we create these wonderful series of dining venues with more places to sit, more experiences, you're still going to want to have opportunities that you can take a meal back to your unit, to take it to the roof, to take it out to the courtyard. And so we are being very conscientious of carry out. So carry out can happen in the bistro as it does today. But there could also be opportunities that you pick up carry out at the bar from the grill. And so there's carry out support directly on the other side where that carry out will be stored so that it'll be easy to pick up. And then also the idea that at the market, this is the market at the front of the bistro, that there is carry out. And when I say carry out, it could also be something that's in a display in the market, or as a grab and go, or as a soup, or small sandwich or element that they can make at the market for you. So there would be 3 opportunities for carryout depending on your tastes. And the idea being that at the bistro, that it would be outfitted with steam trays like you have in the mixing bowl today. So there could be those pre-made comfort classics that you love in the mixing bowl could be offered in the bistro. So I'm getting ahead of showing you that the mixing bowl is going to try to become staff only. And so I'm trying to make sure you understand that we know how important that meal service opportunity is and that carryout is. And so the goal is that gets picked up in that cafe line. One thing I do want to highlight, existing, you have about 237 seats. And this does show we can probably get up to 240, 250 in the plans we show. We're showing a range, but with keeping wide aisles and accessibility kind of in mind, we'll probably be in the end about right around that 240. So we're not losing any seats with this. If only we might gain a few along the way in these venues. We did want to show kind of the last kind of space that we're looking at kind of renovating in this is the living room. And if you remember in March, we were showing adding a storage room and a social office and making the living room smaller. And we definitely heard that it's the size it needs to be. And so we're showing the living room in the same size that it is, talking about things like lighter weight furniture that's more easy to reconfigure. I think adding a little more interior design to the room so it has a little more sense of specialness to it as the hearth of the community, the main central gathering spot here, but also getting the fireplace to work and putting a functional fireplace in. So those are the lists. Now, what may have to happen, and phasing is something of how we do this that we're going to do the next step, is really start to dive into phasing. Let me start that by saying we're going to make sure that all the dining venues are open through the holidays. We're going to make sure that all the number of dining seats are always provided somewhere. So there are some really critical things with phasing in terms of you, the resident. You're most important on phasing. But one thing that may have to happen to that is there may be a period of time that the living room is temporary dining during when maybe one of the larger venues is closed. So that's just something. So what that means is the new final version of the living room may be toward the end of the plan because of that. But we'll have to work through that kind of phasing. But again, with the importance that you always have a place to dine, that you always have their full restaurants available during the holidays, which is important. This is just the spaces that'd be available for meeting at the end of this. So the resident conference room that's backed by the transportation offices would stay available as a meeting space. The bishop's room, the private dining room in the grill, which would be added with the TV so that could be used as meeting space. There's going to be a large storage room for the fitness studio, so that could be used as a classroom. Fitness. The club room, this is the space on the rooftop. This can be used as a meeting space, and I'll show you that in a minute. The chapel, which we talked about adding a screen to, I think that's not every meeting space, right? That's going to be a specific meeting that meets the sensitivity of the chapel, but that has some greater capabilities, both for services and also for other types of meetings. And then obviously the space we're in. And looking at adding a portable stage and determining a great location to put that away and store that. So a portable stage could go anywhere because it's portable, but we're just showing you could put one at the end, so I could be higher. You could put one at the end of the room and either do the full room or part of the room, right? That's what a portable stage would let you do, is move it, and it's not permanent. The outdoor spaces I'll highlight here are also, I would say, a little pared down from when we came to you last March. But if I kind of go in number order, so they have a big number on them. One is the courtyard. We want to just look at the grading of the lawn so that it's more accessible for events and fitness and activities. 2 is really just improving some of the furniture that exists outside that terrace, outside the fitness center and the art room. But now that the bar is directly adjacent, there could be an opportunity to want to go outside in nice weather a little closer. 3 is really improving the south vestibule level out by the plaza. More planters with more lush plantings, some better seating, some shade, and maybe an arbor sense of entry there. So it has a little more prominence as really a wonderful focal entrance to your campus. 4 is the island. And we know this has to be able to be driven over by fire trucks. So it's just looking at a little more lush plantings, more flowering plantings there is really a really beautiful part of that entrance. 6. Oh, yeah. 5 is really cleaning up and restoring the wonderfulness of the memory care garden. So it's a little cluttered with furniture and needs some new plantings, but not really changing the shape of it or space of it, but really making it a wonderful place for the memory care residents to go. 6 is the dining terrace outside the Fillmore that I talked about earlier. Potentially just taking down the brick wall on the edge of the terrace, more lush plantings, having that be a nicer place to sit outside and have a meal. And then there's a couple of bare hillside. There's a bare hillside here and here that could really benefit from just some wonderful new plants. 7 isn't highlighted in green, But it's the whole perimeter of the wonderful nature you have here. And that's getting an arborist to come and do an analysis of where trees have died and gone away, what suitable plants could be replanted there. Look at all of your low-level species, your low-growth species, and make sure all are native and see if there's any invasive problems. But then also look at the corner where you've had some trees die and try to provide and think about some shade there where the pet memorial is, and whether shade canopy trees would be great, or whether a small scale, shade structure. But really working with an arborist to really, have such great trees and landscaping here, and really just make sure that that if there's any that may be dying that you don't know about, that we've itemized those and those in advance, and that thoughtful replacement and infill is done to really continue that beauty that you have. This is just the blow-ups of those areas. Again, this is just regrading the courtyard and furniture. This is that dining terrace that we call it outside of the market. So is there wonderful furniture there that encourage you to go out with a cup of coffee? Obviously, this wouldn't curtail the wonderful food trucks that pop up that you're able to provide some wonderful variety in food service, but just kind of beautifying that entrance a bit. There's a lot of open paving, so really softening that with some more plantings and some more seating. So on the G1 level, the space really is minimal in scope on modification. So you can see there's a lot of dark gray that's saying this is not part of this project. So all of the garage, but really, is it brown for you? So brown. This color. What we are talking about is really looking at the finishes for that whole corridor as it goes through, making that a nicer experience for residents. Looking at the finishes of the pool and the pool wall, the locker rooms, and really just looking at how we can add to those, beautify those, raise the look. And then as you go back, there's really two modifications to the home office. Life Enrichment is the pink here. So they're going to move down right when you enter that space. So they're really adjacent and accessible to that elevator and coming up for all the programming. You can see that here. And the other program that's really important to have quick access to upstairs is that library workroom. And so that's right there. We'd get a new door. That door doesn't exist. If you go there today now and stand across that elevator, there's a blank wall. But there's a door that we can add so that library workroom opens directly to that hallway and can go up and have as much extra sorting and shelving as they need. The last piece is the green. And because we're moving four venues upstairs with the market, the bistro, the Alexander Grill, and the Fillmore sit-down, we're thoughtfully considering that the mixing bowl goes to being staff-specific, staff only, a place for staff to both get their meals, be able to rest, recover, respite. And so the green now is the mixing bowl as a staff lounge. So new food service line, upgraded space, so it feels like they get a new space too. But that provides the meals in the same way that it does currently, that the kitchen is above on the service elevator and can bring down the food to stock that line. So providing them with a variety of seating, some banquettes, some soft seating, maybe some high seating as well. So depending on if they want to get some work done as well, they have a place to go. There's two projects that we're calling future projects. So just think of these as these will happen after all of these other projects happen in terms of process. And one of them is the building a club room space on the roof. And I don't know if the club room space on the roof was what was booed or the fact that we were meeting in it, but I'll show you the space that we thought about. There is an opportunity, so there's limited opportunity to build new on the roof because of the structure. So we have to be very close to where the existing columns are. So you can see there's 2 runs of existing columns on that roof that run down the middle of your building. And you don't really know them because they're buried in the corridor walls and the demising walls between your units in the original building. But we're kind of stuck with that if we were going to build anything other than just deck space, right, which is what you have today. So this is an option that the group looked at and came up with that could provide a space. And whether it has a kitchenette so that you could bring a cake and have a birthday party with your family here, or whether it has a refrigeration and a table so one of you could get a cheese tray and a bottle of wine and go up with friends and do a happy hour. Those are the things that it was trying to create an opportunity to do that were new here. But this also could not be here, and it could be an open room that you use as your rooftop meeting space. So there's a variety of ways that you could utilize it if you had a new found space for you, a new meeting space that doesn't exist today. What we know that the roof is really important. So this curved edge, this is the edge right here of the existing roof deck. I'll show you here too. It's kind of halfway in the middle of this room, and then it comes out here. So we are looking at expanding the roof terrace. So there would actually not be a loss of roof terrace space with building a club room. We also are showing extending the corridor, because if you know there's a door right here today that brings outside, and this is just under roof. So we are talking about extending that. So if it is the middle of winter and you're having your birthday party, you still can get to the club room in conditioned space, and it feels like it's part of the rest of GHA. What we also are trying to do is maintain an 8-foot corridor space between that and the exterior edge, so that if you go up there and that's your wonderful walking route that you do every day, that you still can walk end to end. So this is trying to create a new wonderful resident amenity without too many things that it takes away. But I do know that if you enjoy the outside space today, this may feel like a takeaway. And so just wanted to at least let you understand some of the thoughtful ideas that went in of how to add it, create a new space for the resident, that you can do some of that wonderful programming with either friends or family, but also still be able to do all the things you love on the roof today. The last one is the terrace on the small houses. And this is sort of a tricky project, but it's also tricky because there isn't a great place to add a stack of balconies on the small houses that really is cost sensitive, that really is less disruptful to those units and the people and the residents inside. But there is a pocket of space right above this auditorium. You can see it from the courtyard, where the first floor connector here that you walk on doesn't have any roof above it all the way up in the corner. And so there's an opportunity to build kind of a tucked in terrace on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor right there in that corner. And so that's something that, this is something that is feasible in plan form. But as we got farther along in the process, we'd engage a structural engineer, and we'd really evaluate its impact. So what I would say is this needs further study, but it is a good opportunity. It is the best opportunity you have to add outdoor space for those residents on 2 through 5. And you can see, because sometimes the households split at the elevator lobby, there's an opportunity to have doors onto the terrace from both sides. So even if one side is closed for a reason, you'd still be able to get outside if your spouse was up in the other unit, you'd be able to take them outside. So with that, I can go back to kind of the beginning of the main plan if we want to start with questions on the first floor, and then we can move into other floors as you have questions. And then, yeah.
In the Fillmore Lounge, was I seeing a little area that's also a private dining room in there
So,
on the left there?
yeah, so we're not showing a private dining right now. This my finger works here, but this space right here, okay. So the question was, is there a private dining room in the Fillmore shown? And what we are showing is a community table, but that's not in a room. So we don't have enough space in that corner to make a closed room. Now, we could think about adding a private dining room somewhere, but it would reduce kind of the dining area. But we do have it in the Alexandria. So there is the same number of private dining rooms you have today you have available.
Hello? Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hello. Since you're showing that slide, what is the pink area?
Oh, thank you. The pink area is a virtual
Pickleball?
No. Unfortunately, pickleball is 4 times the size of that.
We don't want it anyway. Okay, so
Yeah.
what is it?
So it's a virtual simulator. So
What does that mean?
okay, so this is a lot of this is going in a lot of senior living communities. So that means it's going to have a wall that's a full screen, and it's both a golf simulator, so you could play a round of golf in there.
Wonderful, wonderful. I have another question.
Yep.
In the basement level, promenade level, the library workroom, you've shown a couple of spaces, but I wasn't sure which one will be the workroom.
Yeah. The workroom is, I don't have a blow up of that, I'm sorry.
Yes, you do.
I did.
You had the area.
Yeah, no, this is it right here. Yeah, so
Okay.
it is this room right here.
I can't see.
Yep, I'll come over to you. It's the pink room here labeled library workroom. Right.
Oh, okay. So
And
there's
it's
no
got
window.
And this door, right now there's a door to this office here. Does it get closed? This is a blank wall that you can't see into. This is the service elevator.
Okay, thank you.
So we'd add a door so you have direct access that's separate of the home office.
Luckily, we don't have claustrophobia. So going up to the roof, one more question. Going up to the roof in your special gathering room, what are the walls? Will they be glass? I mean, how do you envision that?
Yeah, so we're kind of showing you're going to need to have some mechanical, so which would not be glass. So there's a little bit of non-glass here, but all of this dash. So this is glass, and then all of the rest of the room is glass. So the goal is that's mostly a glassy room, except where needed, and we might be able to figure out how to get the mechanical on the roof of it and get more glass even. So the goal is that really takes advantage of being up there on the roof.
Hi. Okay, here I am. Hi. Okay, a couple of things. One is, in the last renovation done, I don't know, what was it, 7 years ago? After that, we discovered that there are a lot of weird anomalies in our HVAC system and in the controls and where controls are, and there are a lot of thermostats that don't do anything because it's all has to be done someplace else. So I'm hoping that as you open up spaces and you work on that you're really going to focus on that issue.
Yeah, so a full analysis of the mechanical and how it's currently connected would be evaluated when we renovate any space, so that new controls. Now, there are going to be some new controls that go in because energy codes have changed, and but we'll upgrade all of that as part of the renovation.
Okay, second thing is, have you given serious thought to getting rid of the revolving doors?
We have. So we did look at that. There was, that we did some studies on how to improve that. It needs a lot more space at that time, and the group did not want to pursue it because of.
Okay, you're going to have an interesting issue with the bistro tables out near the revolving door.
Yep.
Third thing, I'm trying to make this fast. Please be sure that we can get a printout of the plans and that's available somewhere. Okay, yeah, that's fine. In the courtyard, please, as you're doing that, there is an area that buckled
Yeah.
on that walkway, and we've done our best to repair it, but it's a real hazard. And if you can focus on that, that would be great. And last thing is, we had a portable stage when this auditorium was created, and it was a total failure. It was used maybe twice. So think about that. Thank you.
I'm maybe you need some water.
No.
I'm concerned about the banquettes in the dining room. Nobody sits on them.
Well, so what I think you'll find, and having done, I've done renovations for about 18 years now in communities like this. They're never more than 10% of the seat on the banquette. And I've found that I've been pleasantly surprised with, there are going to be people here that do like that. It's not going to be more than, it may be 10%, it may be more than 10%, but there is, what we're trying to provide is what you're going to find both this resident population here today probably is beginning to think about it, but the next set of residents, they're going to want choice. You may not always want the banquette, but you may want it one night. Here's the cutest story that I found. I was in one of my projects that I went back into, and the group of residents, when we were doing this, also had some of the same worries about banquettes. And I walked in, they'd operated it, it had been open for about 6 months, and I went into the kind of cafe space that had a long banquette, and there was 12 women, as you could not believe how close they were, tucked into the banquette side by side. And I went up and asked them, they're like, we love this, we can all get together, we're closer to here. It was some kind of book club or some element. So I think you will find there are some, and so I think you're right. There's not banquettes everywhere. There's not a whole wall where half the, you might walk into a steakhouse that has half the restaurant as booths. You don't see that here. And they're all linear, they're all single run banquettes. So a way to say it is single scoot. Right? You always can go directly back in and scoot one way or the other into your seat, right? So you're not trying to manage or rotate around a corner, which can be difficult. So it's trying to be thoughtful about the banquettes, that they're offered as a choice, that there are going to be some people that do like them. They're not heavily used. They're 10% or less of the seats, and they're very thoughtful that they kind of match the needs of easy accessibility into them.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so a banquette is like a fixed seat, almost like a fixed bench seat. Yes, correct. Okay. Right.
Excuse me, can I, on that map of the roof, can you indicate which is north and which is south?
So.
The roof.
Yeah. So this is north.
I'd like to see it on the roof map. Oh, there you go. No, north has got to be one way. Is north straight up?
No, it's to the right.
So the Fillmore is directly below this. Yeah.
I have two questions and a suggestion. The first question is, has a structural looked at the roof?
No, that's what I'm saying. So right now we've evaluated so that we know where the structural columns are, so that we know those are proper points of added.
You haven't had a review yet by a structural engineer?
Not either of the two future projects, which is the roof terrace and that.
Right. Thank you very much. The second thing is, I'm wondering, in the dining area that you're calling the grill, I think, that's next to the bar, one of the advantages of the present Alexandria room is the fact that people who do not hear well can hear better in there than they do in the other venues, which are louder. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you would be open to a suggestion that you put a door of some kind that can slide across between the bar and the grill area. Because, and I do drink wine, but those who are having a good time tend to be a little louder than those who might be trying to hear in the dining area. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if you would think about that, to have a way of isolating that so it does not interfere with people being able to hear in the dining area. The other one is, I'm curious about the art director's opinion about going to, instead of a horizontal light that goes across the whole of the space, to what has become more of a, and I hesitate to use the word, but a tunnel experience where the light is all at one end, the short end, and people work in the entire area. So I was just wondering what the art director's comments were on that shift.
I'll answer that. I am fine with it. I think that the benefits far outweigh the change in light. I'm a painter. I love light. I love natural light. I also work around it because I have a full-time job. So when I go home at night, it's dark. And I have a studio, and I'm in there every day with good lighting. So I know that indoor light, there's a huge spectrum, no pun intended, but huge spectrum of quality of artificial light. So we're going to work closely on the lighting options for inside the studio. But I'm focusing on the almost, 1.5 growth. Like that's exciting to me. I can have bigger classes. I've got more storage, more people can be served. We're going to have more people even available to sit next to the window. So I'm cool with it. Thank you for your concern.
Okay. I was just wondering, you mentioned very briefly in passing the steam tables, and between that and the mixing bowl, I have images of my junior high school lunchroom.
Yeah.
And I'm really wondering what kind of aesthetics you've got in place, because we're one of many senior communities in this area, and we need to keep people coming through the door and having environments when they're walking through, looking around to see how they want to live their lives. And I actually phoned 10 other senior communities in the area yesterday to ask if they had any cafeteria-style dining venues, and none of them did. And two of them said to me, we try to provide kind of an upscale dining experience with many options. So I would appreciate it if you would address that.
Yeah, no, I like that question. What can be provided in the cafe? One, it's going to be built into a new cafe counter. So it's going to be upscale in look in terms of its overall presentation. But what I think we'd work with the culinary team here is they have these steam wells that actually transition, right? So there's a variety of things you can do to them. So when I say that you might have pre-made comfort classics, right? Lasagna or pre-made meatloaf or something, whatever is spaghetti and meatballs. I think is the thing I heard was fabulously successful in the mixing bowl. Maybe that's Thursday night, and that's what's in that zone right there. But they can take those out and they can transition it to be be all cold and have smaller bowls so that it's something like your sweet green, that it's all different. Maybe it's a salad spread, or it's like kava. It's a bunch of Mediterranean dishes, and you can mix a bowl or make a wrap or make something out of it. So there's something that could be very current with it, but it could flex so that however many nights a week the demand was for maybe more of these traditional comfort foods, that they'd be able to put that in. And so that's the desire, that it's a flexible, good-looking cafe arrangement, but that it can flex to those. It's not a permanent cafeteria build-out.
Okay, two comments about meeting rooms. The first one on the rooftop, where you're talking about the wonderful place to meet for families with having birthday parties and whatever other kind of meeting rooms. You know, we got people around here that have birthday parties where they're impaired mobility, yeah, and they have children with them, and it's a situation where it could get pretty hectic up there and hard to get up to, because you've got a lot of space you have to use to get up to the roof. You have to have elevators to get there, which might not be working, some of them, right? So it'll be really awkward for a lot of the residents to deal with that. That's the first thing. Second thing, the private dining room. It's not closed off as it is now. And one of the things, I I thought he said it was not going to be closed off.
No, in the Fillmore, we are showing a community table that's not closed off. There's a the private dining in the Alexandria is closed off.
It's still there.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. It's in the same spot. And it's closed off. And I think to your first comment, I think everything about the clubroom upstairs would be to create a completely flush transition to the elevators, and that the elevators, if working, would completely be able to bring a resident successfully and easily up to the clubroom with easy opening doors, so that you could bring your family regardless of condition you're in. I think the goal of all of these spaces is that there is welcoming, and as they don't limit anyone to be able to do any of these activities.
So I have a question on timing. I understand that phasing is still kind of a work in process. I also understand that this year is kind of geared towards planning, and the real work's going to begin in 27. Do you have a general sensing of when the end point might be? What are we looking at in terms of total time, if you have an estimate of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that'll have to come out later. We're working on that through that phasing. We really want to, again, evaluate that. So what I would say, if you were building this all new, you could do it in 12 months, this amount of space. But what we just said, some of the things that are going to be really important is that we aren't closing dining rooms over the holidays, that you always have dining seating available. That we thoughtfully think about where all the meetings and activities happen, so that we don't close off all those spaces and you lose all those vital parts of what makes this community so great through the process. So what I would say is, I don't know yet, because I don't know, it may be 4 phases that are slightly smaller than 3 phases that are slightly bigger, and each of those kind of have a timing. So let us work through the phasing with you in mind, that we limit that impact and see where that gives us. And obviously, if you're in the construction world, you know that taking longer to build something costs more. And so that's also something that we're thoughtful about, that we're trying to reduce costs as well with this throughout. So it's balancing that, but I would say it's resident impact priority first. And so it's going to generate a timing once we can capture that.
Could I take you to the picture of the outside, the exterior?
Yeah.
Okay, whoop, yeah.
No question yet.
No question yet. This is for your information.
Yeah.
This is a drainage swale.
Uh-huh.
It's wet all the time. So
Yeah.
unless you're going to put that whole thing underground, you're going to have to, you can't plant there.
Well, I think there is some zones we can plant along the edge of it, and there's also some rain garden plants.
We've specifically, was the chair of the grounds committee for a long time. I'm still on it.
Yep.
We've tried to keep it so that from the Fillmore you can see the fish pond and that
Beyond.
area.
Uh-huh.
So you can't put much in there.
Sure.
And there's a great big pine tree, which also gets in there.
Right there, yeah.
So I think you're going to that's going to be tough to do. The other thing is that we have planted a whole bunch of stuff down here. Goodwin House has spent a lot of money on stuff. And we've also put in a bunch of big trees that will be big trees long after I'm gone.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I would say that's wonderful. I'd say everything that we're talking about outside is thoughtfully looking at what exists and not uprooting anything that exists today or you've planted. So it's building that. I think if we take down the brick wall, there might be a zone that we could provide maybe a little bit more before that drainage swale. So we'll look at that. We just want to thoughtfully think about that view when you're outside. But to your point, there's some considerations there in terms of drainage. Yeah.
My concern is the portable stage.
Okay.
We had one before, and it was a disaster. I'm rather questioning, why do we need a portable stage? Why can we not have something a bit more permanent? The problem with the portable one was one access. We ended up with a ramp which literally went half about from where you're standing up to the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the residents were very loath to use it. I am the coordinator for our choir here. So when the choir were trying to give a performance and sitting up on that stage, and also it bounced, it was flexible, and that scared a lot of the people. You know, you put the chair there, they sit down, and the chair goes down a bit, and that was scary.
Yeah.
So that is something that I think really needs a lot of consideration before wasting an awful lot of money on another portable stage. Is it possible to perhaps go for something more permanent?
No, thank you for your comment. Now, what I will say is none of this is my ideas, right? So this is the group's ideas that residents, feedback, staff, that we work through. The portable stage came from the community, came from the staff and the residents of the community that requested the portable stage. So that's why we evaluated where one could go and how it would fit, how it would work. We did also draw along the way a permanent stage, and we worked out the permanent stage and how you would come through that back corridor and work into it. You would lose space, permanent floor space, and at that point, the group and the residents that reviewed it decided that it wasn't worth losing the amount of space you have here. You wouldn't be able to fit as many people as you have today. But again, it doesn't mean it can't be something that we continue to think about.
Yeah. Maybe the people who suggested a portable stage were not aware of the previous one. I'm not saying don't do a portable one. What I am saying is there's a lot of consideration that needs to go into it.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of a ramp, you could have one of these sit-upon electric risers to take up people who can't get up the steps, rather than a ramp.
Sure.
Where a resident can just sit down and they're lifted up. I'm sure they would be happier with that than trying to go up this ramp that's doing this as you go, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let me say, well, we did talk about it. A permanent one wouldn't work because there's no really placement for one. We thought about a temporary one, and the regulations have changed since the one that we had a long time ago. So we're able to get a ramp on a permanent one that doesn't be as obstructive as the temporary one as before. And it won't bounce. And Kathleen, I don't envision the stage being used for the choir group because it's such a wide group. I see this more as if we have speakers coming in, if we have the GHA players who just kind of usually in a long line. And portable, because if we wanted one that was more permanent, we could only put it on this side, which is how we used to do all the things here, and that's just not. People in the front see and the people in the back don't. So a portable one, we can do the size changes. We can have a smaller one, we can have a larger one, and fold it up. But the regulations have changed a lot since the one that we had 8 years ago, 10 years ago, that we can get one that's much more easier to use and more sturdy. And we'll have ramps and we'll have handrails. And it wouldn't be more than like one step. We're not getting a really tall one.
All right. Thank you very much for all the time to present this to us. A comment about the gym and the art center. I use both. And although I've not been in the gym at 7 a.m. yet, and some of our residents are very good at doing that. What my concern is, I've never been in the gym in these 8 years that I've lived here when there's more than 4 people there. And it's not approval or disapproval, my comment is. But with regard to the art room, yes, it has been expanded. But it definitely could use even one of those first bay windows too, because the lighting is very important to that room and to the artists. And there's a high demand and interest in the diversity of the arts program. So I'd ask just to take a look again. Do we need as large a gym room as we've had? Could we do with a little bit less? The gym's been kept the same in space roughly, or you said maybe added to a little bit as we use some corridor space, but the art room is always highly active. Please consider that.
Did I?
Thanks.
Okay.
No, I think that's fine. What I would say is if, and I don't know if your sales team has any anecdotal input, but you'll find that that majority of prospects are putting wellness as their primary decision for communities these days. And a lot of the other choices that are popping up are very wellness focused. So we weren't trying to create wellness here that ate the art center, that removed that vital program, knowing that both are really critical. What we looked at is, can we bring fitness forward so it's more visible, so it's more encouraging to use, and so that residents, prospect residents and current residents both see that it's important to the community. But also at the same time expand the art center by 50% so that it could, because it's so important. So those were the trade-offs and some of the thinking, but we can continue to look at kind of that edge between the two.
Okay, so this is a question for dining services. And I'm hoping you can explain to us what you anticipate the situation will be like when all of this has been completed for dining services. And to keep it simple, I think of this in perhaps 3 groupings. I have today an experience when I can go to the bistro, order and take away, or I can sit down. I think of that as 1. I can also have a reservation and sit in a variety of venues, and I'm served. And the third is I can go down to the mixing bowl and take it back. So relative to those 3 things that exist today, compare what we will be able to experience when this is all over.
Well, I can tell you that with the addition of the marketplace, which is going to be that's going to be one area where you can pick up items for to go. The other area, what is that compared to? Well, that marketplace will compare to the Fillmore marketplace that we have. So, right. The other 3, you said you go to the bistro, correct? The bistro will be up there where the cafe is. That's going to be comparable to that same concept. So the mixing bowl will be up there as well too. So the mixing bowl will be dual, but the mixing bowl concept can also be where the grill bar area is. Sure.
Here's your grill.
Here. So this will be comparable to it won't be comparable to the mixing bowl, but you can pick up items here to go as well too. You can also sit here and dine in as well too. Private dining room in here for those who. Yes, yes, the answer to your question, yes. This will be the Alexandria, but now it'll be the Fillmore, the reservations. Fine dining will be up in that area. Thank you. No. The concept will still be there, but it'll be in the cafe.
Okay, to go back to the exercise area versus the art room.
Okay.
Allison answered the question I had, but I'm interested to hear from Christy because sometimes I'm looking at the exercise classes, but from my apartment because I know they're really full. Is she happy with the fact that there's no extra room in the exercise room? The fitness center has been expanded, but you said the exercise room is still the same. And then the second concern I have about the exercise room is youth show, doors from storage, and then a door that will go from the fitness center to the exercise room. But a lot of what we do, there's a glass wall there. Well, if you have doors there, there's no glass on them. So that presents blind spots when you are trying to look to see what's happening. Will the doors have glass on them so there's minimal interruption when you're trying to look to see what's going on?
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't really understand your question, but this is going to be the gym with the machines.
Right.
And then the other side is going to be where we have the classes.
Right, the exercise.
So are you concerned about the window right here?
No.
What? I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
Can I set that there? I'll use the pointer.
Yes.
You're saying this
Right.
could be a door?
Right. So this is a door here going from the fitness center to the exercise room, and then a door going from storage into the exercise room. But this wall traditionally in the current room and this wall are glass so that you can see what's going on either side. But if you have a door here and a door here, they're not going to be glass. It will make it harder to see what's going on.
Yeah, and we can do. I mean, you're going to want the storage door. The other door is just for kind of convenience of training staff to go back and forth between there. But we can provide mirrors on both sides of that room for the majority of it.
I want to go back to two things. One, I have always thought that the art room was also part of wellness.
It is. Well,
and
so
here you're talking, and that was just one point. My other point is you're talking about the different dining venues. This is my problem, but maybe others. But we basically eat from the mixing bowl every day. You're saying that we can go to the bistro. But my question is, if I'm going to the bistro, am I going to be left waiting forever to be served the way we do now? Whereas downstairs, if I go to the mixing bowl, I'm served right away.
Well, and so that's why we were saying there could be at times there could be the steam line in the cafe. So here's a kind of a blow up of that. There could be the steam line. So you could pick up. And there could be a register here or a checkout. So you could order along this line like you do today, or you could order at a kiosk, or you could order something grilled directly at the person and sit down and have it delivered to your table, right? So that you can do all of those things at.
So to answer your question, we will staff that accordingly so you don't have to wait. We want to make sure residents that come down and use this feature, we will have staff there to make sure we take care of you in a prompt fashion.
Thank you for taking the time to wait for all these questions. I'm an interior design professional who just moved here, so I'm following this with great interest. If I understand correctly, these new plans, which constitute a master plan, will become available to all of us so we could study it and possibly then give Barbara some feedback.
Yes.
And so that would further the resident engagement.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, as you know, none of this is being physically constructed tomorrow, right? So the goal of this is your feedback.
Right. So you would set a time period on the resident feedback from which then your firm will proceed with the beyond concept plans. Because what we're looking at today, just to be clear, are concept plans.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Because I know you're new, so you don't know. But we already have done what you're asking. We had all the residents give comments, and then we went in smaller groups. So this is more of the final. Yeah, we're ready to move.
Okay. So that's great. To what extent will Alexandria City zoning processes and everything impede the progress, or I'm sure you've factored this in because you've been an award-winning design team, you've done a lot of different places like this, but then, we've got lots ahead of us in terms of selecting colors, in terms of selecting furniture that works for people who are here right now. So I guess you've had that factored in.
Yeah, so with no major exterior construction, there is no need to go through zoning for any land development or approval. All of these projects will go through the city for building permit. So all this work will need building permits, and that'll be part of that process. But you don't have to ask or review permission with zoning in advance. So it just, as we get toward the end, we have to meet all of the line of the adopted codes, which is International Building Code family, that all the work would be built to. And you're absolutely right. There is a level of interior design in terms of fit, finish, colors, lighting that is specifically appropriate for the aging eye, lower levels of mobility that are very specific to that. And we're very attuned to that and thoughtful in that regard, that it's not the same that you'd put in a hotel or in a multifamily apartment building. Absolutely.
Can you tell me the process where it would start, like each phase where you see starting the lobby, dining?
That's the phasing we're working on next, to figure out what's the first project and how the chunks of this will be broken into smaller in order to maintain access to programming and dining.
I'd just like to speak to the picture's gone. The difference between the gym and the studio or exercise room. We've been taking numbers recently about how many people have participated, and I wonder whether that has been considered, because, as was mentioned earlier, the gym is not so busy. I know that if in 15 years it may be, but right now we're kind of squished, as you might ask our leaders, in our studio. Is it any chance of reconsideration of that?
The studio is very packed a lot of times. There's barely room to do the exercises in it.
Yeah.
So I was concerned that the gym, which is, people say isn't highly used, has more space than, it seems that if something needs to be bigger, it needs to be the studio space.
And that's something, that wall between the two is something that we could explore. Now, what is missing is the equipment layout of all the equipment that the fitness group is going to want to have. And what I would say is, there, as you guys know, there's very specific fitness equipment that seniors will need. And so we'll want to make sure all the equipment is in there that is required and needed, both new equipment that maybe you don't have access to because you don't have floor space now for, balance trainers and additional things like that. But also that you have full accessibility to all of those pieces of equipment, because we know we're not able to stack things as tightly together as maybe you might find in a YMCA. So both of those, let's take those into account, validate the fitness so that it fits the equipment that you need, that you're accessible to it, and if there's an additional space, we would love to give it to the fitness studio and move that wall down.
I have a question back here.
Wait.
Somebody else?
Oh, you. I didn't even know. You're right in front of me. I'm like,
that's
no,
me.
you're next.
Hello again. I'm concerned about the methods that you've used in hearing from us. We all filled out our thoughts about your plans, and one of the things I was very aware of is that there was a lot of grumbling about moving where people sit now, kind of organically, to read the newspapers and wait to go into the bistro. It's like a natural gathering place. Mm-hmm. I have no idea where you're going to put that kind of natural gathering place.
Well, that's sort of the reading area that's between it and the lobby, right? So I think there is going to be, I think it's looking at providing a level of that in the lobby so that there is gathering there.
Can you point it out?
Yep. So kind of directly off the market, the lobby, but then also the wider corridors, it kind of carries back here.
It's not right. The space for the convivial casual drop by. It's not going to be in the corridor. It's going to be in the lobby somewhere. Yeah. You can't move it around the corner because it just is a natural thing and it happened naturally. The thing I don't understand too is I don't see that you have changed anything. Can you point out what you've changed since you first presented this?
Oh, you mean since when I presented in March?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of what we presented in March, we were reducing the size of the living room. We had storage and an office in there.
And what else?
We had a chef's table, which was a much grander sit-down dining in the formal dining room of the Alexandria. We also had, but you're right, because a lot of what we showed was what was generated from resident feedback. Yeah, but and all of that feedback was reviewed and determined on what was the changes that we needed to kind of push forward with.
Yes.
Wait. Let's. Is it over there?
We're next.
I'm just concerned about the kitchen space, and all the dining people are here. Have you renovated the kitchen so that they can serve all the dining space?
Yes. Okay.
One on that side, then one over here.
I lived through the last renovation. I've been here a long time, and I know a lot of you people, and I love living at Goodwin House, but some of these renovation ideas do not sit well with me. I have to realize that we have more residents using walkers and wheelchairs, and that will probably increase. It's not going to decrease. We also have to be sure that those places are accessible and there's plenty of room to park the wheelchairs and the walkers while people are eating or sitting in a meeting or therefore. Talking about the stone wall in the patio off the Fillmore Lounge, if you take that wall out, the whole woods are going to fall into the patio because that wall holds up that area by the fish pond and the gardens and the path that goes through the woods. So I caution, I don't know the physical problems, but I can see that that wall holds up a great deal of land and trees and garden space that if you take that out, they'll all be on top of the patio. Another thing is the living room. The living room is used a great deal. And when we have a memorial service, when we have birthday parties every month, when we have other spillovers from the auditorium or the chapel, we need every inch of the living room. So if you make any permanent changes to that, such as walls or fixed things, it's not going to work. We need to have
so that was the biggest takeaway from last time, is that the living room is staying as is.
Okay.
Lighter weight furniture, easier to reconfigure for all of the events that require all that space, and that the fireplace works, right? So that the elements that you love are just improved and not.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Do not expect older people to sit on high stools. Now, probably 20 of you can. So be sure that when you're talking about these additional dining services, you aren't expecting people to perch on stools, because most of us can't do that.
Yep.
I know some of you are young and you've just moved in and it's wonderful and we love to see you, but you will get old. And you will get older, and you need to look forward to moving with ease. I also object to so much dining services so close to the lobby. There are going to be spilled stains all over that area. There are going to be napkins wadded up and in the corners. It's all going to leak into the lobby. And I don't think we need to have a lot of food that close to the lobby. Now, just because other retirement communities do have a bar or a cafe next to the lobby doesn't mean that we have to have one. And I can see it's just going to be a big jammed up space of people with food and coffee cups and spilling and a lack of staff to service. I'm being pessimistic, but I've lived here 16 years and I know how things work. Thank you, everybody, and good luck.
Thank you.
I know you know as an architect that form drives function, and my question is really for dining. When you talk about the mixing bowl being replaced by what's in the grill, the steam table on the grill, my question is, what's the menu for that steam table? Is it the menu that is served in what is now the grill, which was the former Alexandria dining room, or is it the menu that's in the bistro?
We will use the menu that we have in the mixing bowl.
So you're going to match what's in the dining room, in effect, in that steam table in the bistro area.
Yes.
Okay, and then there will also be a bistro menu for those that are wedded.
Well, we have to take a look at our options and, you know, what we are doing because we have different dining venues. So we have to be smart about this whole entire process because the more menus we have, that means more money. So we have to make sure that we align ourselves and at least with one or two venues, we're doing the same menus, but in limited fashion. So we can have a bigger menu, but it'll be less in different venues. Thank you.
Could you flip to the outside area where the dog exercise area is? There we go. There's interest among the dog owners in the community to expand our free-run dog area. And part of that area, very few people that don't have dogs participate in that area. It's kind of a wild growth with invasive species back in there, and it's is that a consideration? There's discussion among the dog people about it, but it wouldn't be a big deal to expand that. It'd just be physically moving a fence section if that could be approved.
Okay. That's.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I think when the team looks at that outside area in general, I think that's something we could consider for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right down here, right? It's right here, right? Yeah, it's right here. Tucked beside the garage entry, right?
No.
Yeah.
See
Right.
where the 7 is?
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of right in here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I moved in here in April, so I didn't participate in the original discussion because I didn't feel that I was familiar enough of what's going on. But I volunteer in the library now. Part of the collection of the library is in the workroom and the outside area near where the reading room is. We can easily direct someone who comes to the library to go over there. Will those bookshelves remain, or will all of that be transported down to the basement? Another question. The mixing bowl, I really like. I didn't use it at first because it did look a little bit junior high cafeteria. But I personally think the food is actually better. And you have more of a choice as to if you want a small portion of something, you can get a small portion. If you just anonymously I know the bistro has small, medium, and large, but I ended up putting half of my lunch today to be eaten later. So, and the staff absolutely has to have a comfortable place to be able to sit and relax a little bit. But the lines in the mixing bowls some evenings are pretty long. So somebody is really using it. And Joaquin, I know you said that it will be the same food when you change over. I hope it does. Thank you.
Yeah, the one question I do want to answer is the bookshelves. So we are showing with this new, much larger space that there could be some bookshelves directly outside the library. So you could have some of that external display right adjacent. So you could even walk out of the library and point, say right down there is where those are. So the workroom goes down below, but there could be some additional shelving that's outboard that you have access to.
Scott, over here. I'd like to clarify a few things that I know were discussed previously, but you haven't raised yet.
Okay.
Just so our residents understand exactly where we are. At one point, there was thought of putting, or at least outlining, a pickleball court in the auditorium.
Yeah.
Is that gone?
So the only reason so you could do that. You could put that in here. The reason it has been removed from the project right now is the amount of time this could actually be open for pickleball based on how often you use this room. I think that was what, yes, it fits, but how often would you have the room open for 4 people to play pickleball? And compared to all of the wonderful programming you do in here. I think that was the concern.
Yeah, and I think that there were a lot of people who didn't care for the pickleball courts, so that partially answers that question.
Okay.
I also, if I heard correctly yesterday, there will no longer be a shade structure in the courtyard.
Yes, so right now the plan just shows regrading the lawn to be more accessible. Obviously looking at the sidewalk that's sunken in now, but just kind of making that whole space more accessible, but not a permanent shade structure.
Got it. And I know we showed the wider corridor where we hopefully could have some reading areas. Is that also where the most likely the bird cam would go?
I think the bird cam would fit great in those bookshelves and nestled into there. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello?
You also talked about at G1, the workshop having that window opened so people could look, or maybe even a glass in the door open so people could see what was going on in the workshop. Is that still in the plans? Because it wasn't mentioned today.
That is an opportunity. That is still in the plans to just make that more welcoming and available for those in the workshop to showcase a piece of furniture in that corner.
Okay, good. Because I know we've got some new members here who are using the workshop that may not have been aware of that possibility.
I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah. And I think that if I remember rightly, Joaquin, yesterday, you mentioned that there would be some seating in the bistro for people waiting for their to-go and or waiting, I guess primarily to go. So I wanted you to be able to point that out.
So these tables, we would have benches over here so residents can sit down.
Here you go.
So the idea was that if we had to-go orders here in the marketplace, we would have benches along the windows here so residents can sit down and wait like we normally do in the bistro now. Residents have that sitting area, but we would have benches here so you could see outside the window. We would have some benches over here as well, too, if your location was to pick up your order in the cafe. Answer the question?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Joaquin. And I appreciate very much may have been even a new slide showing which rooms could be used for meeting spaces, because that was clearly an issue yesterday, and we are so busy in this community. We do need those spaces flexible with screens if they can be built in. So I thank you for considering that. And the last thing, I think some people are wondering what's going to happen to the water feature.
So the water feature is still in the plan right here. That's the curved water feature. But I think that's something that we can reevaluate when we explore the design of that space and the furniture.
Sir. Hello. I do have a question. Most of these are resident-oriented. However, the kitchen area has been designed and redesigned several times. I'm a little concerned is with the 3 separate feeding areas, do we have enough adequate kitchen area to serve all 3? Where's the ice cream going to be?
So you should have led with that. That's the most important question always, right? So there are a couple of things. I can let them speak too, but there's a couple of architectural things that that help the kitchen. One, there's about 10 feet of additional space is being carved out of what is currently inside the Alexandria dining room today, dining space that's being given to the kitchen. The goal of being that there is closer kitchen space available directly to that grill space. There also is some space being cut out of where right now there's a large dry storage here inside the kitchen, and also part of the current Fillmore bar area is being removed and added to the kitchen. So the kitchen is being expanded. You just don't know it because right now you're not really sitting in the space or using the space that is becoming kitchen. So it is being thoughtfully so that during a design process, we can work with the team and get the right number of pieces in the right space to support all the venues. But yeah?
I was just pointing it out.
Yeah. So kitchen expansion here. This is the main hotline right here. And so right now, this is the issue was getting it all the way up to that bar space. So trying to provide a new hotline. Before we had that kind of chef's kitchen that was more out front. And now instead it's more hotline behind the scenes in the kitchen that directly connects to that Fillmore. So they'll be able to directly expedite food, plate food, and get it directly out to the seats much quicker.
So, pickleball is an immensely popular sport.
Yeah.
We do not have an outdoor pickleball court.
No.
The only place we can play is in a GX room, and you can practice there, but serious players will not go in there because you have no room on the sidelines or the baseline. Has there been any thought given to finding space for a pickleball court?
Yeah, we really tried to find a pickleball court outside on space. You're very landlocked. You're all parking, very limited, but wonderful landscaping. It needs about 30 foot by 60 feet of space, so 1,800 square feet of space. That just does not exist on this campus, unfortunately. But because we knew that was a desire, and that was important to you, and it's great for wellness and active, but right now there just is not space on your campus without removing parking, which if I came here and said I'm putting in a pickleball court and removing parking, I may not leave, right? So that was really the issue, but we did explore as many opportunities as we could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, Scott, you wouldn't be able to leave if you recommended putting the pickleball court on the rooftop.
Yeah.
I'd like to reiterate what the lady. Oh. Hello. I'd like to reiterate what the lady that's lived here 15 years. When I think of walls are not always bad. When I think of what this looks like to me, it looks like a mall in a shopping center, and this is the courtyard. I would find it very difficult to live with ketchup stains and red wine stains on my chair or on my on the rug that I'm eating on. I love the white tablecloths. I'm not sure this provides the same level that it seems like it's a downgrade rather than an upgrade.
No, ma'am, it is not a downgrade. The white linen will be featured up here in the Fillmore venue. This will be fine dining. And to answer another question, in the back, we only have one main line right now. So going forward, we will be supported by another line back behind the Fillmore to help this process here. This main line will still be here, but we also will have another line where the private dining, where the bar is, right over here as well too, to support the grill and to support the cafe. So we will have different kitchen areas operational to support the influx of residents coming in to all these different locations. So yeah, there's a lot of work being done in the back to support all these different new venues.
I have a question about the rooftop and the enclosed room. Do you anticipate that that roof will be open when somebody has reserved the room? I think it's isolating. I think it's taking away from being able to use it the way we use it now, to take our lunch up, without checking a schedule as to whether somebody's up there with these glass walls with people all around. That's not going to work. This is an exclusiveness that I don't think we need, considering you're talking about opening it up and having people be more casual in their interactions and including that. So I think that one goes backwards.
So a couple of things just to highlight. The goal is that this is a new glassy corridor that fully gets you outside without whether anyone's in that room or not, right? So you'll have full access to the roof. You'll have full elevator access up. You'll be able to connect and then walk all the way across to the other elevators, regardless of if someone's in that room. And I'll let them talk of how they'll operate that room, but I can imagine that it's just open for any resident to use when there isn't something reserved in it, so that it is most of the time available and open, and a great place to like go up and sit and have your lunch or connect with, because it's going to be conditioned and you're going to be able to hear each other because you're not hearing the cooling tower that's running, and you're going to deal with the wind. So it's going to help some of those things and give more full season accessibility to the view and that space up there. But that was the goal.
Yeah, I'm not the way that the rooftop is now, we only limit reservations one time a year, and that's 4th of July. Other than that, if people want to book the rooftop, it's under the assumption that they can have their little spot, but anybody else can come up and down whenever they want, because it is a community location. So there would never be a time where we would block the whole rooftop off, except the 4th of July. That'll have to be their understanding that will be there, but we're not going to block the rooftop off. I will say sometimes sales might do a function up there, and that might be another time we close it off. But we would let people know that ahead of time. But yeah, we're not going to block the whole rooftop off for a group of people in that room.
So that room's about 1,500 square feet. So. It's probably about as big from me to that wall and me to that wall. So you can kind of get a sense here. So yeah, about maybe 15 people would fit comfortably in it, for an event or a.
Scott, what is the situation with elevators? Will there be any new ones, or are the old ones just being renovated?
Yeah, so this looked at the spaces, but not the elevator infrastructure. That's a CapEx. That's a separate endeavor to look at the elevators.
Yeah, just a comment about the patio area outside Stonebrook, the Memory Care Center. That's a wonderful space, and you mentioned that it was going to be maintained and kept up a bit. But in all honesty, I've been over there quite a bit visiting a friend. That place is rarely, if ever, utilized.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that they can only have a resident of Stonebrook out there if a caregiver goes with that person.
Right.
There are 2 caregivers for 10 residents, which means that it's only if a family member goes out is it really utilized.
Right.
And I wonder, it's important that they have a place to go out to, but that's a big spot. And I wonder if that couldn't be cut in half or a third, or give them a third for the residents and utilize the 2/3 for something else. It's probably not big enough at all for a pickleball court, but it could be a shade area, it could be a planting area, it could be a seating area, any number of things to better utilize that space, because it rarely is used.
Yeah, I mean, I think Current thinking on memory care and Alzheimer's mean in order to maintain a sense of dignity and independence, the more choices we can give someone, the better they feel. And so to have an outdoor space that may seem grand, but they can actually get up and maybe walk a small loop within and feel like they're creating a sense of choice for themselves, I think is important. So it may seem like it's too big, but I think that level of thoughtfulness for them, that are stuck in a unit, that they do have some space that they can wander a bit. I know it's not a lot, but so I would just balance that with kind of thinking in terms of the memory care resident.
No, I think it's very important that they have a place where they can get out.
Yeah.
Even though it's not utilized that much, but it's there for them if they can.
Right.
I don't know if it needs to be quite as big as it is, and there might be better utilization of that.
Sure. She's coming with the microphone. No, I'm just saying.
I don't know if anybody here knows the answer to this, but in the summer, I frequently sit outside of the, I call it the Fillmore Garden. And I look at those apartment buildings right behind, thinking anybody being shown that apartment would look at our garden and think, what a fabulous place to rent. Does anybody know what the future of that is? I think it's part of Newport Village, considering what is going on at Newport Village as we speak with the demolition of a lot of it.
From what we've heard, Newport Village is not touching that area of their campus. It's just the front side that faces off of Beauregard, and they're putting up townhouses there. Yeah, but they will not touch the area that's on the border of ours. And we would need to be notified if they decided to do any renovations there.
Scott, on the east side of the entrance where the circle is, where the proposed dining venue or whatever, have you considered the elements there with the heat and the wind, and how exposed would they be? Totally enclosed, or because it gets so windy there, sometimes it blows the chairs over, and the heat in the summer is pretty extreme there.
Yeah, so we were thinking some umbrella tables for shade. We were trying to limit the shade, but there was two things that we were worried about. One is just kind of buffering the view out to the road, but also the wind. And I think when we get to that process, I kind of talked about an arbor, but that might have some wind shielding to it. We might be able to plant some trees there, maybe that aren't the crepe myrtles. Maybe there's something that more could be a windbreak over time as they grow up. Because you're right, I think we want to be cognizant of that and try to condition some of that without building any big. That sits on top of the garage, so we're not going to build new heavy foundations for big shade canopies. But I think we can be very thoughtful about those two environmental factors.
Scott, this is really sort of an information thing. It's not a criticism in any way, but my wife and I use the downstairs dining 4 or 5 times a month, not very frequently, but you can get in and out of there usually in about 3 minutes. And I'm told that there are a considerable number of people, maybe as many as 200, who use this per day. And I worry that those 200 people who are now going to have, for their carry-out dining, they're going to be crowded put into a very small, crowded space with all the rest of the dining. The other part about going downstairs to get your food is you can down there more casually dressed. You come in off of a run or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm mostly worried about taking, say, 200 approximate people and putting them into the general dining people who've not. So you're increasing the number of people who are going to be up there, whether they're dining. But the reason I ask that is I'm 1000% in support of upgrading the staff facility down there. But is that really something that they would use in the evening from 4 to 7 when it's open? So I sort of want to know what the justification is for excluding the downstairs dining option in order to enable the staff. And there may be a very good reason, and I just don't know it. But I am worried about taking a large number of people who've been fed downstairs and putting them upstairs. And I can't believe they're going to be in and out in 3 minutes. It's going to take 15.
So the mixing bowl, I know everyone loves the mixing bowl, and I understand it, but it's a logistical nightmare, and there's a lot of reasons why there's a long line, because we have to bring the food from upstairs through the elevator downstairs. One of the options, well, from my understanding, having the mixing bowl concept up here would alleviate that based on all the new kitchen modifications we're doing. So if you go through the mixing bowl like the cafe, you would have different options. You can go through the grill. You can go carry out through the marketplace. You can go through the cafe. So all those people can go to different locations to get their food. It won't be a central location. If you want that mixing bowl option, yes, there's going to be a line, but there's a lot of passageway through and around there to get through in a timely fashion. And understanding that we're going to have more staff to accommodate this process. No, and then again, 200 is a high number. We probably have about anywhere 50 to 80 residents coming down during the evening time, so we can definitely accommodate that.
Okay, so.
Oh, may I speak again?
I see you're looking up there. I'll wait till you're done looking, then I'll ask my question.
Yeah.
So speaking of logistical nightmares, I've been in this auditorium at times when there was food was served in here, and there might be a couple people that were staff who were serving it, or maybe only one that was supporting it. And if something was lacking, like for example, you needed more soup, that meant somebody here would say, okay, I've got to go get more soup. They have to walk around, go down all the way around to the kitchen, go in there, get something, and however they do, bring back some more soup and bring it up here. It's usually around 10 minutes for the minimum for anything to happen like that, or new sandwiches or whatever. I can just imagine what it's like on the rooftop. When you're up on the rooftop and you run out of something up there, and you say, oh, we forgot the birthday cake. Oh, we have to go get that. It's downstairs in the kitchen. They have to come over to the elevator. They have to go down. Then they have to go over to the kitchen. They have to get in there and go back upstairs, up elevators. That's a logistic nightmare, and I've seen that happen. So not with birthday cakes, but with other stuff. So I think you're really somebody is severely underestimating the difficulty for staffing that, independent of the problem with people who are impaired mobility and who are watching kids that might want to run around the roof. Independent of that, you've still got a really serious problem, and I think somebody needs to think about that.
Hello, am I next? What's happening to the arbor room?
So the arbor room is in this plan has gone away because of where the bar and grill are. But that's why when I showed that plan of meeting spaces, so you still have more meeting spaces than you have today.
Because the arbor room was used for meetings frequently. And also it was used for private dining.
That's right. So
and there was no other facility available. You could always ask for a long table in the arbor room to seat 12.
Gotcha.
And I hate to see that go away.
Yeah, so right now that sort of larger private dining is not in the plans, but the meeting space is captured, but not dining.
Another thing I wanted to ask about, you mentioned taking away a shade area on the patio.
No, we were only adding shade.
Adding shade, because
yeah,
I know people come down from the small houses and they enjoy the activities, but they do need to be under a shaded area.
Okay. Yeah. So, So what was removed was a bandstand. There was a large physical shade structure built right inside the lawn.
Thank you.
That's what we removed.
But there'll still be shade somewhere on the patio.
Yes.
Thank you. Courtyard.
Yeah. Courtyard. Hey guys, so I know we're after 4 o'clock, so I think we're gonna probably need to end this one today. But I think on behalf of the entire admin and staff here, I think we were thrilled with the feedback and that you took the time to be here today. And just thank you so much for coming and participating.